We unwind what they're really saying, genetically modify what you're tasting. Don't need that cottage promise, so now you live up in your mom's basement. Redesign time so your mind is always wasted. Programmed to crave the basics, keep the beta in stasis. Pay the state, kid, you're in debt for being born. Messengers are more than just the price for being warned. Don't be alarmed, disconnect from their machinations. Stop subscribing to the folly of own nations. Bone breaking ain't the answer, cause they seek the ownership of souls. Spread the seeds and watch them grow. Break the chains of control. Break the chains of control.
Sweet eternal balance of all that is good, true, and beautiful, friends. Welcome to your Sunday Night Rogue Waves episode. We were going to have Janice Barcelo here tonight, which would have been amazing and awesome, but Janice had a little bit of an emergency that she needed to take care of, so we have rescheduled for Tuesday, the 30th of June at 7 p.m. Mountain, as always. So tune in then to catch Janice and I chatting all about the medical mafia's clampdown on birthing and how, the trauma that they have inflicted and made a part of that process has negatively impacted probably all of us, but how we can avoid it and do something much more joyful. So catch up with us on Tuesday to get that info and to have fun with Janice and chat with her about all kinds of stuff. It'll be pretty cool. I can't wait to meet her. In the meantime, tonight I'm going to do what I was going to do Tuesday with you guys. If you're into it and you want to stick around, we're going to look at some cults and some darkness and some horrible shit that I just, stumble upon now and then and tie it all together in a neat little bow for you guys. So we're going to do that tonight, and I see some people are watching, but not a lot of people commenting, so if you want to say hello, let me know that you're there. I love to interact with you guys. Most people tend to be on YouTube, so if you want to hop over to YouTube to join the crew, you can do that. If you're on Facebook, that's cool. What's up? I can now see your comments, but you won't see mine if I type anything back to everybody. I do see Burning Marl has shown up. What's up, Burning Marl? Oh, that's funny. Burning Marl sent me a message asking me if I would live stream, and here I am live streaming. I've answered the call of the universe. I felt it through the ether. No, just so you guys know, if you don't know, I live stream every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 7 p.m. Mountain. Every single Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And soon, there may be exciting things in process where you can catch me even more places and times. So we'll see. What's up, Eerie Fairy? Thank you. Oh, yes. Thank you for sharing as well. If you enjoy this stream and you want to promote it, I would love that. Just share away to your heart's content. Put it anywhere you want. It is public. It is for anyone's consumption. And if you know people who are interested, that is cool. That is awesome. Definitely hit that like button. The more you comment, like, and share, the better things go. I know that I am suppressed by the system, so to speak. I lose subscribers for no reason all the time. People email me, message me, tell me that they have been unsubscribed. Some people have been unsubscribed multiple times and have to keep resubscribing. It's very annoying to think about the people who have probably subscribed and then forgotten what channel they even subscribed to and never came back. So who knows how many subscribers I could have, but it's not really about that. It's more about getting information and ideas out to whoever wants to hear them. And I have faith that all of the ideas and information presented here will find it their way to the people who need to hear it. So I'm good with that. What's up, Mateo? Nice to see you. Que pasa, señor? So let's jump in and see what we got here. So first, I like to tell you guys about the site. Mateo, in fact, in the chat has an article on this site that became quite popular. It's about Jeffrey Epstein and cover-ups. And so you might want to check that out. I don't know where it got posted, but it got a lot of traffic for a minute. So any of the articles, poems, or things you find on CoreySharman.com, you can also feel free to share, comment on them, interact with them. There's a lot of stuff here for you to peruse. This is a labor of love. It's my sort of art piece in motion, ongoing over many, many years. And so I like that you can come down here and see more stuff at the bottom, categories to navigate around, recent posts to navigate around, the noosphere, I call it, which is the tag cloud for you to navigate around. And also, of course, on the top here, you can get around as well and find links to various things like my published works. I have been working more now that I've had a little bit more time off on the sequel to Sine Curve of Aeons. It's coming out any day. I'm going to say hopefully within a month it's going to be out to you guys, so you can check out that sequel soon. It's called Earth, A Trough in Time. Sine Curve of Aeons, of course, is a fictional novel. It has so much wrapped down in it. It's really an epic saga of aeons of civilizations fall and rise, the yugas. It's a love story wrapped up in there. It transcends time and space. It is a pretty fun story. Check it out if you can. You can get the hardcover as well on the second image here. These all link to you either to Amazon or Lulu, where you can buy these. A Gypsy on the Res is my first, one of my first books. This is a memoir of my time teaching on a Native American reservation. It is hilarious in tone and often irreverent, and it also is very emotional and profound at times. There's Mutable Realia. It's a collection of poems. You can also check that out. I think those two are a pretty decent price as well. And speaking of price, if you want to buy Sine Curve right now, it's the cheapest it will ever be. I have 3 copies left at $10, and that includes shipping anywhere in the United States to you with an inscription from me personalized for you and Rogue Ways stickers included. It's a crazy deal. I seriously think I lose like $5 on every one of these, but I have 3 left, like I said, that I promised I would send out. So if you want to grab that, I think the new price for Sine Curve in the Amazon Marketplace is $22. So quite a discount there if you want to grab it. 3 left at that price. It'll literally never be this cheap again, ever. I promise that. Not because I don't want it to be. It's just I don't get it for much cheaper than you get it on Amazon. So even me ordering them and sending them out to you is like not much of a discount. But moving on, we can also go to the Tarot and Guidance page where you can see how I do my readings, or rather at least what deck I use and the sort of philosophy behind it. And you can donate to my PayPal in order to get a 10-card reading or a 4-card reading. That happens one-on-one electronically via Zoom, Skype, whatever you like. I've done them over the phone for people who don't want to use the technology, but if you do it virtually like that, you do get the video that you can share, keep, so that's nice. I also summarize afterwards, written, and I send you that summary, and I send you an image of the reading itself. So you get a lot out of me for that price. And the readings themselves are quite profound for people. If you want sort of the cheapest therapy you can get, you can look at it that way. Or if you are just sort of struggling with an issue or an idea in your life or a topic or, anything that's going on that you just want deeper insight on, then the tarot reading is perfect for you. And just so you know, if you click on classes and tarot in the shop section, that's how you will get to not only guidance sessions, which are one-on-one sessions without the tarot reading involved, but different classes I offer. I teach on a lot of spiritual topics, and then also that Sine Curve super sale that I was talking about is here, if that's something that interests you. That's all in the shop area under classes and tarot. And of course, if you want to buy an orgone pendant, they're one of a kind. I am aiming to get some more of those done soon. I'm very excited with some new design ideas I have in mind. There's irreverent merch where you can get t-shirts that say fun things like I survived the coronavirus and all I got was this shitty police state. And you can also buy Rogue Ways gear like this mug that you see me drinking out of on every episode. That's all in the shop section. Hop over to Subscribestar to support me more directly. If you love the show and you have been a fan for a while and you've gotten value out of this show, I would appreciate if you want to share that value back with me. I put a lot of content up here on Subscribestar for you, in addition to what you can find for free on YouTube or on various podcast apps. And so I think it's a really great deal for you. There's even a $1 level, so if you are strapped for cash but you have been wanting to support me, then this is the perfect option for you. Please come support at whichever level works best for you, and I really appreciate all those people out there who have made the jump over and crossed platforms in order to support me there. It's awesome. I appreciate it so much. Let's see who's in the chat tonight. Over here now we've got Chloe Bell. What's up, Chloe Bell? Nice to see you. Oh, thank you. Burning Marl says the rhetoric episode was great. If you want to go hop back and see the rhetoric episode that I just did, that was a fun one. We just attacked the sort of basics of the rhetoric that's used against us in the system. Trey Clark is in the house. What's up, Trey? Everybody go check out Trey's channel. Trey does so much good content. He's got a lot of stuff. Flat Earth, funny stuff, music, just so much. He's rad. Go check it out. Brother Brown is in the house. If that's my Brother Brown, that's one of the coolest people in the universe. Go check him out too. I don't know what he's got going on, but it might be another Brother Brown, who knows. Either way, love to you, Brother Brown. We got Austin Beach. What's up, Austin? Coming back in half an hour. We'll be here. We'll see you then. We got Mahadharma Pala. I said it right for once. What's up, Alan? Nice to see you. And we've got Dadgummit, as well as some other people who haven't said hello yet. Come say hello in the chat. I try to keep my eye over there, especially on these episodes where it's just me. It's a lot easier to interact with you guys. When I'm one-on-one with people, it's, I like to keep my attention on them. So let me I like it better when we can sort of not have to see the top part here. I don't know. I guess you still see it either way, but that's a little better. So tonight I'm going to show you a rabbit hole I fell down. I don't know that it's a rabbit hole so much as like a topic hole. I fell into this topic synchronistically, and basically I can't hardly even find the article. Did I find it? No, I didn't. So it was weird. Okay, I'll tell you the story. So recently, within the past week, I want to say, I found this random story somebody posted somewhere. I don't know. I forget where I've come across these things, but somebody posted basically a teen in the UK who had been arrested for neo-Nazi sort of behavior and sort of threats. And they were saying that he was connected to this terrorist organization called the Order of Nine Angles. And I thought it was a misspelling. I thought it was the Order of Nine Angels. Because my phone does that all the time. It autocorrects angels to angles. But no, it really is the Order of the Nine Angles, as you can see here. This is their logo. This is a real group. I don't know if it's officially been designated as a terror organization, but I know that a lot of authorities in the UK want to designate it as a terror organization because of its sort of neo-Nazi leanings and its apparent calls to violent action over the years. So it turns out that this is a pretty weird and nefarious cult that I had never heard of in my life. Maybe you're familiar with them. I definitely was not. And this very strange symbol, of course, seems very occulty. It seems almost, oh God, now I can't remember that symbol that it looks like. It looks a lot like the Baphomet sort of symbol. It almost looks like the OTO thing. It's just like, it's got a lot of similarities to other sort of symbols, but it's its own symbol that I've never seen before. So there's their symbol. That's them. What's weird is that article today, getting ready for this show, I went back to try to find it, to tell you the story and be able to show you the article of this kid that is supposedly this teenager somehow got involved with this Order of Nine Angles and was making threats and acting violently. I couldn't find the article anywhere. This is like the third time this has happened to me. Maybe one of you guys can find it, and if so, let me know. You're not allowed to post links in the chat for whatever reason, so I guess it won't matter, but I can't find it anywhere. And the last time this happened to me, where I'm pretty good with search terms, like I'm from the days of Boolean searching, and you have all kinds of modifiers and, asterisks and minus and plus mark, all these things, that I used to use to search. So I'm like pretty decent at searching. And usually I can find anything I'm looking for, but I could not find that article. I searched in all kinds of terms and all kinds of databases, and I could not find it. I don't know why. I don't know what happened. It just disappeared from reality. And this seems to happen to me a lot. Again, this happened recently when I was telling you guys about the 3 needles being used in the new delivery method for the new COVID-19 vaccine that they're trying to force on all of us. 2 needles had an electric jolt and 1 delivered the actual vaccine. And the reason that the 2 needles delivered the electric jolt was to open the cell, I think it was 3,000 times faster than it would otherwise open, and thus allow that, tincture, tonic, whatever, that vaccine into our cells even more quickly at like a more destructive level. I couldn't find any mention of it. People were sending me for like a week afterwards all these things that they thought I was talking about, but I'm like, no, those are all articles I also found. But that original 3 needle delivery method, a piece of evidence, is nowhere. It just doesn't exist anymore. I know other people saw it. Wayne McRoy was one. He remembers it. He also can't find it. It's just really weird. This is the power I think they have now in the world of the vast World Wide Web is that they can actually make shit disappear. And, you know, we've sort of, I guess, always thought that, and we've seen examples where they've at least suppressed a lot, but I have not yet found them to be able to completely disappear something. But it seems that happened with the 3-needle delivery method, and it seems perhaps it happened again with this. I don't know why they'd take that silly article about a kid in the UK, you know, influenced by this cult or whatever, out of the record, but I can't find it. So I don't know. I could be user error. It's always possible that I just fuck up and can't do it, but it's just weird. So there's the backstory that you now know way too much about. Yeah. So it does. It looks really weird, doesn't it? Louis Berrekar2. I'm sorry, Louis, that I just fucked up your name, but welcome, Louis. My Eric Dollard interview brought you. Good. It's nice to have you. Thanks for coming. Oh, it is my real Brother Brown. What's up, Brother Brown? That's awesome to have you live tonight. We've got Gordon Hamill in the house. What's up, Gordon? Nice to see you. Benjamin Crossland. Ley lines? I don't know, dude. They have an explanation of this. It's so, like I said, it has like the pentagram mixed up in there. It's got the Baphomet mixed up in there. It's really, really weird. I don't know what. Maybe in this description we'll find mention of why. Dad Gummit says the word angel and English both have roots in the word angle, I hear. That makes sense. Anglican, angle, English, angel. Interesting. Interesting connection. We'll have to try to keep that in mind. Yes, the number 9 thing is also weird. So Order of the 9 Angles. This reminds me of the just the Order of 9, right? There's a lot of people who supposedly channel this Order of 9. A lot of people are really into it. I don't trust any of this shit. I think probably it's all demonic. And so I just don't trust it innately. But maybe these random 9 channeled entities are good. Who knows? But the number 9 is fascinating and crazy all on its own. I didn't think of trying to grab that video where they go into all the crazy shit about the number 9, but it exists. And maybe we could touch on it tonight if we get to it. Grace Space is over in D-Live. What's up? Goisha. It has connections to that. We'll look in it in a minute. It's so weird that Dadgummit brings up nature doesn't build in straight lines, because I was just reminded of that twice today, and now for a third time, and I think it comes up in the presentation tonight as well. Benjamin Crossland brings up Emerald Tablets numbers 3 through 9. I don't know why, though. It does look Enochian, Chloe Bell. I agree. Yes, dadgummit, I feel like it's a real-time Mandela effect, but I shit like this happens to me all the time. Like, my master's thesis disappeared from this dimension, and there is very, very little trace of it existing on... I mean, it was backed up in like 15 different ways, and it's just completely gone. The school has lost the paper and the electronic version. There was a website with it that was lost somehow. All of my backups were gone. My emails, various levels of completion, from outline all the way through to completed product I had emailed to myself, they're all gone. Like, it doesn't even make sense. They're just all gone. I live in a universe where I wrote a master's thesis that's 80 pages long, but no one has it. Dog flu. I do not remember anything about a dog flu. Oh, that dogs were getting the COVID. Yeah, I do remember that. I did see that too. Dadgummit. They were definitely doing that. And then they did tigers. It's like, okay. I mean, it's just a cold, so of course anything can get it. Yeah, Eerie Fairy points out they can even take stuff off people's Google Drives. Google Drive deleted, what was it recently? They deleted on a private account. Oh, it was a copy of that Plandemic movie with that Judy, I can't remember her name, but you guys know what I'm talking about. That scientist who had been wrongly accused of all this stuff and just smeared and her life destroyed in this Plandemic movie was going around pretty, virulently for a while. And people were... suppressing all over. Like, it got deleted from YouTube on all these different levels. We got it on the Internet Archive, so we started to share that link and people could go watch it there. That's still there. If you go search Internet Archive for Plandemic, you can find it. But somebody had a copy on their Google Drive and Google Drive deleted it. So, I mean, it's their space, and they probably have it somewhere in their terms of service that they can access and delete and do whatever. But I mean, I don't think any of us really feel comfortable with that or think that it's fair. So that was very unfortunate that they made that step. And now we all know our Google Drive should have always been considered to have no integrity. And now, especially, we know that it doesn't. I think I'm really behind in the chat, guys. Digital apparitions in the house. That guy's hot. Just in case you guys wanted to know. Okay, Mahad Dharmapala points out that it's this symbol here that we're looking at is the geometric version of Lucifer's sigil. That makes sense given what I read about them. Thank you for clarifying that. Geometric version of Lucifer's sigil. Eerie Fairy points out that ang is also the root in anger. Oh, Chloe knew someone who channeled the 9. Interesting. Oh, you got it! Burning Marl found the episode. Durham, neo-Nazi teenager convicted of planning terror attack. Dude, I searched for UK neo-Nazi teenager terror attack and Order of 9 Angles, and that did not come up. I think they just fuck with me, dude. Whatever. Whatever. Thank you, Burning Marl, for finding that. If you guys want to go check it out, that's the article. Maybe I'll just, find it here, actually. Let me pull it up. Durham, neo-Nazi teenager. I can type. Convicted of terror attack. Thank God. But there's no reason this shouldn't have come up in a search. Anyway, let's move it over here. So this is the one that I found. What is this? January 7th? So I guess I've been sitting on this for a couple weeks. I don't know, or it just came across my desk a week ago or so, I don't know. But basically this kid is listing, he's listing all the guns he's going to have. Firearms I would buy. I mean, it doesn't matter. Kids are allowed to dream of owning guns. I know when we were little, we played army and crawled through trenches and pretended to shoot each other and stuff. It was harmless. We're not satanic. But it is interesting that he is connected to this Order of the 9 Angles, and this is how I first heard of them. And it's all tied up in all this race war shit too, So this is the theme of the season, is that we're all supposed to be obsessed with our color and fighting about it with each other. And so we throw this kid into the mix who wants to start a race war. And if he's attached to this Order of the 9 Angles, that specifically he wants to attack Jewish people and kill Jewish people for the service of the Aryan race. Because like I said, they're neo-Nazis. So here he is apparently writing about the areas in Durham that are worth attacking. Bus stations, post offices, etc. So that gets a bit more specific. That's a little bit beyond what, kids might sort of imagine and play with. We don't necessarily see a lot of kids doing this. So where does it even bring up the Order of the 9 Angles in here? It does say up here this occult neo-Nazism, which is the Order of the 9 Angles. I wonder if this... We'll talk about this group, because somehow I got this group's name from this. It's just the exact same article. Thanks, guys. Way to link back to the exact article I was already reading. He was trying to obtain chemical ammonium nitrate, probably to make bombs or whatever. He was going to target synagogues, make Molotov cocktails. I mean, this is the shit that's dangerous when the media is obsessed with race wars, that kids like this who have been led astray are going to be more easily led to a path that is pretty dark and horrible. So, perhaps we're glad that they caught him. Maybe they can actually help if this system can help people, which I think sometimes it can. I don't know. I almost feel bad looking at his little journal. It's really none of our business except that he was planning on killing people. So I guess it is, but I hope he is helped. Anyway, it's weird that they don't even mention the Order of the 9 Angles. They must have edited it. And, I was thinking about this when I couldn't find it. I was maybe they took it down because they don't want to encourage other teenagers to be oh, that guy got attention for that. I'm going to do that too. So there is kind of a rational reason why you wouldn't necessarily point it out. But either way, at the time, The Order of the Nine Angles was mentioned, and so I was like, well, what's that? Like, I've never heard of that. And like I said, it reminded me of the nine that people sometimes channel. And, we have nine repeated a lot in a lot of spiritual traditions and occult traditions. And so it's interesting right off the bat. We know that Tesla liked the number nine a lot. We know that there's lots of interesting aspects of the number nine. So it just caught my eye. And then I saw that it was not just occult and not just esoteric, but it was what it claimed as traditional Satanism. So, other Satanism isn't as good as this Satanism. This is like the real Satanism, which we'll get into. Like we said, they're neo-Nazis. Their main dude seems like this Anton Long guy. I mean, honestly, when you look into this, you'll see he just seems like this sort of Dungeons and Dragons guy, which is rad. I like Dungeons and Dragons, but like it seems like he took his role-playing and dungeon mastering a bit far and created this real cult. That's the feeling I get. Not that I don't think they're dead serious. I think they are. But they have this sort of Gnostic touch, where they talk about the aeons of civilization, which, is similar to my book, Sine Curve of Aeons, and how each sort of corresponds to a different, I guess archetype you'd say. And they have a problem that this current, what they call the Western Aeon, is being influenced and threatened by the Magian, maybe Nazarene influence of Judeo-Christian religion. This has, emboldened the Jews, and that's something they want to stop. So, yeah, they want to bring around a new social order termed the Imperium. It just, reeks of Nazism, obviously, because they're Nazis. But they're Nazis that, seriously, this is real. They want to break societal taboos by isolating themselves from society, cult, that's what cults do, committing crimes, embracing political extremism and violence, and carrying out an act of human sacrifice. This is the part that most disturbed me, is part of their actual directions to people, and the initiation involves using other people in various ways. They do practice magic. They channel energies into the causal realm. So they really mix a lot of Gnosticism, paganism, magic, occult, and Satanism all together in this terroristic little brew of neo-Nazism. Super weird. So let's see. I don't want to get too deep into any of this from here. So let's just go to the next piece and start looking at what they actually believe and do. This is their website. If you want to go there, I'll just throw it in the chat here for everyone to see. It's just www.o9a.org. I like that people think that .org is something like wholesome. It's definitely, Rogue Ways is a .org. Anybody can be a .org. But let's see. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Dadgummit says the number 9 symbolizes regeneration, I think, and 6 division, because 6 is sex, and the symbol 6 curls clockwise and the 9 curls counterclockwise. Interesting. Love it. Eerie Fairy points out that the octagon is a shape of 8, and that, it's one shape, and so there's something of 9 in the octagon. It's interesting. Burning Marl says, I think a lot of these stories about the authorities preventing a racist terror attack are fake. They want you to be scared that there are people plotting these things. I agree that a lot of times it could very easily be that, and yet this one stinks to me of reality. I think that's why it caught my attention, because I just have known a lot of kids as a teacher, and I know a lot of them could very easily fall into this, and that's part of what I want to show you guys about this group, is like any cult, it's very attractive to the sort of outcasts or the people who have been abandoned over and over again by the system and by their parents and by, various organizations. And so this offering of a safe family, all you got to do is human sacrifice, not a big deal, right? It's like this kind of shit I think can very often be real, but it could be fake. And you're very right to wonder if it is or not. Benjamin says 9 is said to be the father, vast of countenance, forming and changing form out of the formless. And then I know 10 is like God. It's like the 1 and the 0 combined, the on and the off combined as one. And so 11, I wonder if that's the feminine. That's interesting. Gray Klein, is this the website of the group we're referring to? Yes, it is, 09a.org. What's up, Chris Phoenix? Just arrived. Nice to see you. Gray Klein, I don't know if I said hi to you, but hi. Yeah, that's why I'm reading directly from the website. So, like I said, this is just the main site. You can kind of come here and click around if you want, but I've pulled out some things that I thought are interesting just randomly. There's no real order or process to this other than that this is my curious romp down my own rabbit hole. This sort of mathematical, pseudo-intellectual shit at the top, you'll see interspersed throughout these people's literature. There's a lot of this like very elitist sort of academic tone to what they produce. And you can see, of course, in any cult, you need hierarchy. And so you see that interspersed throughout everything they do, as well as just a desperate note of, what's the word I'm looking for? Self doubt, just all throughout it as well. Just sort of this like overcompensation almost. It's very interesting. So this is just we're just going to look through a little bit of this. This work brings together from various sources essays dealing with the idea of acausality proposed by Myatt. And Myatt is it's the real name of that Anton name or whatever. That's the main sort of guy in the Order of the Nine Angles. So Myatt and Anton are the same person. Or at least we're not supposed to think they are, but like, they are. He developed this. He developed all of this. Mayatan theory. All you have to do is start a cult and you can have like Lindsay theory and then people will, treat you like you're amazing forever. It posits a bifurcation of time and an ontology of causal and acausal being, such that the cosmos is considered to consist of a mostly unknown to us acausal universe with acausal energy, and of a known and observable to us causal universe containing an energy familiar to us from sciences such as physics, astronomy, and chemistry. This isn't as profound as they want it to sound. All they're really saying is that there's this sort of physical causal world, and then there's also the sort of, infinite, unending, like, spiritual world. It's not. It's like nothing, But if you're like somebody who's been cast out of society and all these people who like seem very professional and like amazing and accomplished and like deep in this metaphysical shit that's interesting to most people, and they're like, yeah, totally, this is all crazy and awesome, but we figured it out for you, and they say it in these words that are unnecessarily large and unwieldy, then it might be very impressive to you, and you might be more likely to agree with them. We didn't ever get to it in our episode about rhetoric, but I do want to eventually present to you guys the George Orwell's essay on the politics and the English language, and he talks about exactly this method of manipulation, which is a person's tendency to use words that are unnecessarily complicated. They could have just said this the way I just said it. Like, yeah, there's the material and there's the immaterial, like the end. I just summarized that entire paragraph. But they don't want to, because that's not their goal, is to manipulate and impress, right? So we'll just point that out, that this is the ongoing methodology of this group of people. And yeah, exactly, Benjamin. It looks like mental masturbation. It is. It's pretty ridiculous the more you get into it. But just like think about the people that this impresses and they fall into it, right? And that's the sad thing. The sad thing is that people's genuine needs and genuine interests are manipulated into this bullshit. And then they're convinced to do the most craziest shit. So I just, there's some of these where there was a little bit further on that I wanted to show, but they touch on real physical, physics theories like string theory and, these types of things. And it's a lot of like the same new age shit that we see in a lot of things that came out of the 70s, 80s, 90s. Just like this did. This came out of the 70s. But it's just woven into this neo-Nazi Satanist matrix. It's very interesting to see the sort of other side of it. Metaphysical theory of time and space. We go back to causal and acausal, and they have Greek that they cite various. This is from Oedipus. You know, they go back. They're very, like I said, they have this academic tone and this pretend academic level of expertise that, and I'm not saying anything that they're saying in here is like not possibly interesting or cool. It just is presented in such a way that it's unnecessarily complex and just makes them sound like they're like amazing, and they're not. So anyway, this is just one document that I pulled up that was interesting. I wanted to know what this was. This is talked about children and the Order of the Nine Angles. And of course, that's concerning that any children would be involved in the Order of Nine Angles. So I wanted to see how children were involved. And so in doing so, this is very recursive. A lot of this is repetitive because they don't know which document you're going to land on. So they'll say shit over and over again. But one thing they like to point out is that a fundamental principle of the Order of Nine Angles, one or four or five core traditions, is that of kindred honor. See, they're so honorable, right? Honorable towards their kindred, which means two important things. One, that our behavior toward our own kind. So this is another aspect of cults. There's us and there's them. We are us and everyone else is them, right? So our own kind, our kindred, is governed by particular rules and guidelines manifest in our written code of honor. And two, that our behavior toward mundanes, that's us, that's you and me, that's everyone else, is guided by our understanding of them and their wealth and property as a useful resource. That already is disgusting to me. I was like, ew, you're like positing that every single person outside of your group is merely a useful resource for wealth, property, and other. And you'll see what they mean by the other. It's disgusting. In practice, our code of kindred, or sinister, because that's their other word for kindred, because it just is way more like dungeon-y sounding and like cool and edgy to be the sinister. We are the sinister, right? Now you're like in the club. You have a title that's totally edgy. Honor means that we strive to be honorable toward our own kind, our kindred. Our law of honor does not apply to adult mundanes of sound body and mind. So they do, they have this like fake ass morality where they exclude anyone who's not of sound body and mind because it's not their fault that they don't see that the Order of Nine Angles is the best and the way to go or whatever. So, and thus they are considered fair game, a resource. Although should it be necessary, for example, in the matter of individual culling is a thing that they like promote, that you go cull other humans. Our honor demands that we give them a sporting chance by subjecting them to certain tests in order to verify their mundane character. How psychopathic is that? Like, I'm so amazing that I'm going to make a test for you, and depending on how you do in my test that I didn't tell you about or give you a fair chance at all, I'm going to treat you a certain way, which might involve various aspects of culling you and your wealth and property and your being as a useful resource. Like, this is so repulsive. This is disgusting. We didn't even get to the kids part yet. Anyway, let's check back in with the chat for a second. We will get to the two types of Satanism, Gary Klein. Don't you worry about it. What's up, exactly? Nice to see you here tonight. What's up, DS is in the house. Children of the Corn is right, Benjamin. Gross. This is creepy. A COVID test, totally. If you pass the COVID test, you're one of them. Just kidding. All right, so children of the ONA, the Order of Nine Angles, those who are of our kind, those who are of the ONA are those who are pledged brothers and sisters. This means they strive to live by our code of kindred honor. They accept the 5 core principles and traditions. There's always a numbered, the 5 core principles, or like the 7 tenets, or like the 10 commandments. There's always something like that. And they seek to implement and achieve the goals, aims, and objectives of the ONA as outlined in our guide to the culture and sinister ethos of the ONA. Blah, blah, blah. I want to skip to the kids part. Okay, the personal pledge of loyalty is by its very nature includes our own children. It means that we will not only nurture them to be healthy, strong, self-reliant individuals capable of defending themselves, but also fiercely protect and defend them, if necessary, by the use of lethal force, and seek vengeance according to our kindred code, should anyone harm them. That sounds great, dude. Like, I would do that for kids that I loved. But I just wonder if they consider harm to their children to be like breaking them out of the cult, for example. And they probably do. But we'll see. They rely upon themselves. They settle their own disputes. They dislike all authority and all laws except their own, just like any good cult. They accept vengeance as a healthy and natural duty. They accept responsibility for their children until they reach such an age as they are developed, mature enough to make their own informed choices, which is generally around 16 years of age. So by the time they're fully indoctrinated, then we'll give them a choice. But before this age, we're their guardians. I mean, that's not that weird. Like that, our own children, we might feel that way about. Now, that does make sense. It's just sad when you look at it in the lens of a cult and indoctrinating children into a cult. After this age, they are free to join them in their activities, whether they're occult, Drekian, Niner, or otherwise. I wonder what that means. Like various sects of their cult, maybe? Who knows? They get their absolute freedom to so choose after 16 years of indoctrination. They can pledge or not pledge at that point. The children of the mundanes is different, though. Your and my children are different. Anyone who's not one of us doesn't live by their code. It does not depend, mundanity does not depend on such social abstractions as ethnicity, wealth, social status, occupation, education, place of birth, nationality, or whatever. But it does, because if you're Jewish, then they're completely against you. Doesn't apply to adult mundanes as sound body and mind. Again, they give them a sporting chance. Well, thank you, sport. Subject me to certain tests. Sure, be a good sport. Be subjected to our tests that we created that you don't know about. So they accord mundane children until the age of choice, of maturity, a certain respect, which in practical terms means they are exempt from being considered fair game or a resource. So you can't cull children under 16 of the mundane. That's so nice of them not to cull some people. The mentally or physically unsound and mundane children under 16 cannot be culled. I mean, there's some sort of honor to it, sure. Anyway, that's children, I guess. There's not too nefarious stuff in here. Oh, what's this Satanism and child abuse part? Allegations have been made and continue to be made concerning satanic child abuse, that is, the sexual abuse of children as part of satanic rituals, practices, and beliefs. Genuine Satanism, like all genuine magic, is a path, a way, or a method of individual self-development. Rituals may be and often are a part of this, but these rituals all conform to certain patterns. They are all intended to aid and explicate self-understanding and development, as well as enhance and develop certain occult abilities. Naturally, some rituals and methods are concerned with the individual experiencing certain emotions, and in Satanism enjoying certain pleasures. However, because of the aim of Satanism to aid the attainment of the individual magical and personal understanding and thus promote evolution and self-mastery, this experiencing involves a conscious choice or decision by the individual. This makes Satanism of necessity an adult path or way. For genuine Satanism of the traditional type is not concerned with proselytizing nor corrupting others without their consent. Its concern, it must be repeated, is individual advancement arising from a conscious and free decision by the individual, and anything else is not satanic as it is not magical. The free choice is part of all genuine occult and magical paths. I respect the fuck out of that. That's awesome. If they really believe that and practice that, that's cool. Keep your whatever to yourself and don't force it on kids. I like it. Good job, guys. They have some, they do have some honor. When there's no free choice, there's no genuine initiation, whatever path is being followed. Just there cannot be any such thing as childhood initiation nor participation by children under a certain age in any genuine magical rituals. Hopefully they mean that age of 16 or even better 18 or more, especially if they're talking about sexual rituals, but they're not very clear at this moment. There is a simple dedication of infants by their parents to the dark path, and this involves only the appointing of guardians to watch over and care for the children. So it's just like having a godparent, but it's like a Satan parent. Thus, there cannot be anything such as satanic child abuse. I get what they're saying. You know, if you're a genuine Satanist and you believe everything that they're laying out here, I can see why you could say there is no satanic child abuse. But we all know that there is satanic child abuse. I mean, if they don't want to call it satanic child abuse, but they still have to call it, like, people who think they're satanic child abuse or whatever you want to call it, it's still the same thing, right? So we know what we mean. Yeah. Interesting. Here's another little addition. I like that their culture has to be a K because they're like neo-Nazis or whatever. The Order of Nine Angles, ONA or O9A, is a subversive, sinister, esoteric association comprising Niners, sinister tribes, Dreks, traditional Nexions, Satanists, sinister empaths, individual sorcerers, and Balobians. Like, I haven't heard of half that shit, and I've looked into a bunch of this stuff. That's interesting. I wonder if they... Oh, here we go. Sinister tribe is a localized, territorial, sinister, kindred, gang, clan, or tribe. So it's basically like a coven. But not a coven, because it's not witches, but you know what I mean. A Drek is a person who, as part of a gang, tribe, or clan, lives a practical, sinister life. That is, they uphold and live by the code of the sinister Newman. There's like way too much terminology. The code of kindred honor, and accepts that the only law is the law of sinister honor. It sounds a lot like the OTO and other sort of secret societies and cults. A Niner is a freelance operative who lives a practical, sinister life in accord with the code of kindred honor, but who does not necessarily belong to or is not affiliated to a gang, tribe, or clan. So anyone can be a Niner. If you want to be a Niner, you can be a Niner. A traditional Nexion is a local group of sorcerers who follow the sevenfold sinister way. The sevenfold way we'll get to, too. Aeonic magic, five-dimensional sorcery. So I guess it's a specific type of group. Balobians. Balo-bohemians. Those artists, musicians, artisans, and writers who share or are inspired by our sinister ethos and lifestyle, and who share some or all of our aims and objectives, but who may not have some formal involvement with us. So that's just who they're just calling people that. Just like they just look at people and they're like, oh, your art has some of our stuff, so you're a Balo-bohemian or a Balobian. That's nice of them to give us all titles, even though we don't know about them. Thus, it's diverse and worldwide, based on mutual trust, respect, and personal knowledge. I mean, dude, rad. If you want to just like get together with a group of people and like be all about self-development in this way that you like, I guess that's cool. It's just interesting that it ends up involving culling. So like a lot of it sounds fine, and you get into some of the details and you're like, huh, that doesn't sound very fair to anybody other than you. Sounds pretty selfish. All right. All right, we're going to get to culling. I don't think we want to do it in this one. We'll come back to it if we need to, but I think there's a whole document just on culling. Oh yeah, it's right here. Here we go. Let's check in with the chat. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Thank you very much for saying so. Excuse me. Benjamin Crossland says, my regional manager was trying to convince me it was okay for someone to steal. They are in need, so they can take. My point was, if they ask, I will give. And I was talking to a wall. I've made the same point, and now I'm on the other side making the point back. Like, I have made the point to people like, whatever, if people need it, they should steal it. Like, that's what they need to get by and survive, and so that's theirs now, or whatever. You know, especially talking about like food or like need, you know, basic needs or whatever. And now I'm like, no, you can't take people's shit. Like you're saying, Benjamin, like if you ask me for something, I'm probably going to give it to you. I shouldn't advertise that, but if you really need something and I have it, then you can probably have it. But if you just take it nefariously, then that's not very fair. And, you know, there's usually almost always a way that you can work out with somebody how to get what you need without doing it surreptitiously or dishonestly. So random side note, but I totally agree. Chris says, Satan is real. I didn't think so until lately. Satan is real. That I experientially feel I can say pretty solidly. But it's a peaceful culling. Yeah, totally. Very peaceful to cull these people. Yeah, Gordon says, this is amazing how organized this is. It is. I've only pulled up a small sampling of their text. It makes sense. It's just like any really good cult, dude. They've got like the lore down. They've got it mapped out. I keep picturing this guy in the 70s just like taking dungeon mastering to like the next level. And he's like, I'm going to make a fucking thing in real life. And he's like writing out all this shit and pulling off of all the sort of new age stuff that's going around and all the stuff, like I said, that fascinates people, like the occult and the unseen worlds and spirituality and putting it all together in a way that works really, really well for outcasts to just fall into this group and have this, structure and there's something they can put their mind to, and it's scary and well done. And yeah, here we go to culling. The development of arete. I don't know what that word, how to pronounce it or what it is. Here, let's see if we can find out. Was that where we are? Yeah. Excuse me. Arete. A narrow ridge of rock which separates two valleys, typically formed when two glaciers erode parallel U-shaped valleys. Aretes. I wonder how you say it out loud. Sometimes these will say it out loud for us. Arate. That's an arate. Look, a kitty. So this is an arate. I have a poem about an arate and I didn't even know it. How cool. Well, the development of that narrow ridge, I guess. It says, life culls. Life culls. We just make a shirt in the irreverent merch that just says life culls. Oh. Life culls. That is, the very process of human life on this planet Earth now and for aeons past involves and involved some humans being preyed upon by others. So there's your justification. You're allowed to cull people because that's just how life is. The logical fallacy lies in here. There's at least one. And that is just because something exists does not make it applicable to any given situation. It doesn't make it right or wrong. Usually because these other humans were driven by some instinct or some lust or some feeling that they could not control. In many ways, the development of human culture was part of the process that brought or tried to bring some regulation, a natural balance to this process, generally because it was a common interest, the survival or well-being of a particular ancestral or tribal community for a certain balance to be maintained, that is, for excessive personal behavior to be avoided. Again, all of this is very erudite sounding when really all they're saying is like, life culls, so let's cull. The hell is that? Therefore, certain feelings of urges towards natural justice developed. So we made culture. So we made codes of conduct for personal behavior and punishment for those who had behaved in a manner of community found detrimental. Whatever the actual genesis of natural justice, it was a feeling, an attitude of only some, not all humans. This instinct towards natural justice, which dictated that some behavior and some deeds were distasteful or wrong or evil. Oh, not wrong or evil in any moralistic, dogmatic, or modern manner, but just distasteful and disliked. And that we decided that such behaviors were rotten and generally unhealthy or not conducive to someone's well-being and should be avoided. Man, they just have like way too many words that are unnecessary. There literally is no reason for most of the words in this. Could be a lot more clearly and succinctly said. George Orwell would hate it. It's also saying this personal distaste for certain types of human behavior or like the desire to make rules was almost always the minority that wanted to make these rules. So they're saying the minority created rules and pushed them upon us, which would make sense given that they don't like rules. And then those minority people tended to become leaders. And then they had good taste and good breeding. Good taste and good breeding with their opinions and their judgment, and therefore were used by guides by others. I don't know, maybe this is their justification for eugenics. Maybe they're eugenicists as well. Then they formed a natural and necessary aristocracy. They're calling these people who rose to the top the proven arete, which is that ridge line. And they had certain power and authority of influence over others. I mean, where do they get to the culling part? I want to know about the culling part. And they had a natural justice and thus a dislike of rotten humans. And they preferred their own kind, and so naturally paired with and mated with people of similar tastes. I like how they're just explaining like natural development of various aspects of human behavior. I guess that's what any good cult would do. For aeons, there was a particular pattern to human life on this planet. They know because they were there. I guess we're supposed to think. Small ancestral tribal communities led and guided by an aristocracy or an arete, who often squabbled or fought with neighboring or more distant communities. This is just like a history of Earth. Blah, blah, blah. Why this particular pattern? For two simple reasons. Because the natural aristocracy favored and was beneficial to the community, especially over extended periods of causal time, while the less noble, more ruthless, selfish, and brutal leaders were not. It's like they're making an argument and justifying rulership and laws, even though they said earlier that they don't ascribe to them or follow them. Anyway, selfish, brutal leaders, almost without exception, always went too far, offending. They've already said this before, too. It's repetitive. Slow evolution towards nobility, blah, blah, blah. Wisdom concerned our human nature and the need for nobility of personal character. I mean, I actually like this point. Natural justice and the propensity for balance, the means to restore balance and the means of natural gradual evolution resides in individuals. I actually say that all the time. Like, you have to, get good and right within yourself to make the world a better place. So it's kind of similar to what they're saying. That natural justice and the propensity for balance was preferable because it aided the well-being and the development of communities, and that nobility of individual character or a rotten nature are proven and revealed by deeds. Okay, that's all like pretty like normal. Or expressed another way, so they just summarize the entirety of it in one really quick paragraph. Expressed another way, our ancestral cultures teach us that our well-being and our evolution as humans is linked to, if not dependent upon, individuals of noble instincts, of proven noble character, and thence dealing with and, if necessary, removing individuals of rotten character. Hence, that a type of natural culling was desirable. So really, all of this is, even though it contradicts their stance on laws and rulers, all of that was to get to the point where they could convince you that it's okay to cull humans for various resources, as they say. Oh god, then they're going to go to the rise of the plebeian. So they're going to go into the rise of, like, there's some humans who are just lower than others and not as good. This could be a justification for, like we said, eugenics. It could be a justification for who they cull in their human sacrifice and other resource culling of other people. And it could be a justification for why they target specifically, Judaism. It turns out it's also an argument for National Socialism. No wonder then that some of those with good taste, some latter-day individuals of noble character or breeding, developed, welcomed, and championed a return to older, more aristocratic ways, evident, for instance, in both fascism and National Socialism, because as neo-Nazis, they are total supporters of fascism and National Socialism, even though they don't like rulers or law. Fascinating how you can just completely contradict yourself but justify it in very random ways. Like, so many logical fallacies, it would be hard to count them all. And now we get to the modern art of culling. Hopefully this actually tells us, like, who they cull and what they do when they cull or whatever, but we'll see. They're concerned with their own evolution. Some humans, by nature, by character, are rotten, worthless, and when this rotten character is revealed by their deeds, it is beneficial to remove them or to cull them. Again, if they're the ones judging what is rotten and which deeds are rotten, just like any dangerous social movement, they can choose anyone they want to fit the definition of rotten. They can decide who is rotten and what makes someone rotten, and they're never going to be rotten, that's for sure. But whoever they don't like is probably going to be rotten. Whoever threatens their vision or their power. Then again, they bring up this idea that if you are in the Order of the Nine Angles and you're a kindred or you are a sinister, then you don't get culled. If you're not, then words, arguments, persuasion, propaganda, and all of that is worthless. You can't convince an idiot, basically, to join the Order of Nine Angles. God, I hope they don't, target me after this. I don't think they will. They're, over in England or something, and probably they don't care much about many people. If they are not of our kind, they will dislike the notion of culling, or seek to argue about it, or debate or discuss it. So they always do this in every cult, too. They address counter-arguments really well, or at least, they don't do it very well. It's not logical, ever. But they always make sure to address every single counter-argument so that when the people who are being indoctrinated start to slip out, just like we went over in our rhetoric episode, they have something waiting to address them no matter where they're slipping, right? So, of course, people who aren't of our kind will dislike the notion of culling. They'll argue about it and debate it. But there's no way to get through to them because they are the wrong type of person. So, in respect of culling, it is, as the Order of Nine Angles has developed, the art of culling of two main types, the individual and the collective. So you can cull the individual or you can cull the collective. The individual is when a specific individual is removed because of a specific deed or deeds done with their rotten character so revealed. The collective is when a specific method, such as combat, insurrection, revolution, is being used either by one of us as a causal form or within a role, or by a Nexion, or a co-location of Nexions as a means or tactic to implement aeonic strategy, and which collective type of culling does not target specific named individuals, but rather the sworn enemy, any of whom are deemed acceptable targets. So there is something about this, I think we may have mentioned it in an article, or maybe we're going to get to it later, that is very militaristic, and they're totally for armed insurrection and revolution. Obviously, if you're supporting fascism and social nationalism, then you're going to support that militaristic sort of methodology, but so you're allowed to cull individuals or entire societies. They're both fair game because they're not inducted into the nine. Okay. It's natural and necessary to cull. If there is a named individual that is chosen, it's because that person has a distasteful deed. I mean, again, if you're just this vague about it, anybody could be distasteful to your order, and then you can target and cull anyone. They do... Oh, look. Oh, I thought this was an address. I was like, we can write to him. It's not. It's just a sign off. So they don't really go into what they do or how they cull. So the only clues we have so far is that they're totally cool with it. It's allowed, and they do have dark arts that they use to cull energy, resources, and property, I think is what we saw so far that you're allowed to cull from people. They do have... Well, let's see. Let's move on to more because we have other texts that we can also draw from to sort of fill out our understanding. Maybe we can come back if we have other questions. Man, I might have to do a part 2 of this. It's already been an hour. Classic culling. How we done? What's up? Nice to see you here. Michael Aquino is connected with the CIA, as Burning Marl points out, and so are a lot of higher-ups in various aspects of this. And I'm not doubting that this might be as well. I mean, a lot of these are just completely psychological operations to, get that. It's always comes back to this National Socialism, fascism shit too. It's always like this attempt to instill or install communism in various societies, and it's really nefarious in that way. But so I wouldn't doubt that this is, and if it wasn't to begin with, that it's been infiltrated at various levels by CIA to be used for various things. I'm sure of it. I mean, I'm not literally sure, but we can imagine that it's very likely. Sounds like Agenda 21. Exactly. Yeah. They all always fit back together or always headed the same direction. Bernie Marl says, am I familiar with Mark Passio? Yes, I am. I would love to have him on the show. If anyone out there has a connection to Mark Passio, hook me up. That'd be rad. I didn't know he was a former minister of the Church of Satan. That's awesome. I mean, because I think he's not any longer. But it'd be cool to get that insight. Yeah, I have checked out a lot of his videos and stuff many, many years ago. And I don't remember a lot about it anymore, except that I really liked him, even though a lot of people hate his like very strong stance of yelling about things. I don't mind that. So yeah, hook it up, Bernie Marl. Or whoever can. Maybe. I have tried to contact him, but it has not worked out so far. Anyway, here we go. A symphonic allegory to the Temple of Satan. What's this? Baphomet is a goddess of violent aspect who washes in the blood of her foes. Oh, Baphomet, you silly woman washing in the blood of your foes. She is the bride of Lucifer. I've never, ever thought of Baphomet as a girl, because Baphomet is specifically androgynous, so that's interesting. And I've never thought of it as the bride of Lucifer. A gate to the dark gods beyond this earth. They talk about the dark gods a lot. Traditionally, Baphomet is associated with the magical grade of Mistress of Earth. I don't think that's true, but whatever. The fifth of the 7 stages that mark the satanic path. That's what's fun. You can just start a cult and just make shit up. Because why? It doesn't fucking matter. Vengeance and lust. But the only earth-based living child to be born from these children is the demon named Love. Like, what? What does that even mean? The only earth-based living child to be born from these children is the demon named Love? Love is not a demon, dude. It's so weird. But again, it's like the Book of Recalling. It just reminds me of playing an RPG and you go into some library and you pick up a book and you read this. Like, their lore is full. It's rich and compelling. Herein are truths to set against the lies and distortions of Eliphaz, Levi, and others. So, they're in contrast to other Luciferians or Satanists. This is just a story. Like I said, it's an allegory. Melanie was a beautiful woman. And she smiled without kindness at the overweight man prostrate before her. So we already have prostration. Black candles. Naked skin. Dancers chanting. Now we're getting into the ceremonies. There's an initiation going on. This is probably a way to teach their initiation process. So you could read through this and initiate yourself, I guess. 7 beats. Dance, she commanded. It's not even well written. Sorry. This is like something, it would be really, really well written if one of my students turned this in. It's not that amazing. Blah, blah, blah. Initiate the guy. Naked women. Candles. Dreams. Symbolism. The misuse of the word variegated. Sorry, I'm an asshole. Blah, blah, blah. Small room. A woman. Still looking for the woman. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. This just seems really boring. And long. Okay, yeah, we're moving on. Anyway, you can go read a story of Satanism and learn how people get initiated if you want. This is like the original Emanations of Uhania. Notes towards a heuristic representation of cleology. Again, like, there's no reason to use these words at all. But Anton Long wants to sound really smart, really academic, because it's very impressive. But this is like the rantings of a mad person, and it's interspersed with a lot of symbols, like pseudo mathematical stuff. And, the way it's labeled here is like supposed to be profound, but it's really probably just a jumble. Like, I'm sure you could read meaning into it, but I just like was looking through it, and I'm like, yeah, no, this is just like bullshit. I mean, it's just, again, like someone sitting down and like maybe on a lot of acid and being like, okay, dude, the cosmos is all that exists, man. It's all that has existed or will exist. And you're like, all right, like, what's the point? Abstraction is means to knowledge and understanding. Like, it's like that thing where you can have the AI just pop out like profound seeming statements. There's like websites that do that. It's the generator, the like profundity generator or something. It's just like that. But it has charts and math, fake math. So it's like really a big deal. It'd be cool if they got into like the geometry and why the geometry, and they just said it plainly and whatever, but instead it's a bunch of this crap. And I'm sure so many people have poured over this and been like, wow, this guy was a genius. And I don't think he is. I think there are real geniuses, and there could be stuff, whatever. It's just what it is. The numbering system makes no sense. And it's funny, they reference like Nietzsche, here they're referencing Spengler, they reference like all kinds of various like psychology and like philosophy and science and like physics and great literature, and there's a lot of illusion wrapped up in here. And again, I think like the main purpose of that is to have this like pseudo academic tone that is impressive. So blah blah blah, we don't need to look through this anymore. It's just a lot of bullshit. Then we've got appreciating the gurgurgunk. If you want to appreciate the gurgurgunk, then you look here. Because we can't write it in English. We can only look at it in Greek. That makes sense, right? No. But here we go. So here's their main sort of summary of like what they are. The Order of the Nine Angles is a means whereby the current aeon, distorted by the Megian, can be undermined and replaced by a new aeonic civilization with a new ethos and with a new mythos with which presences. That's not a word. That ethos. Like, just stop it. Just use real words. That new ethos is an essentially pagan one evolved from the Greco-Roman and Western notion of the and the beautiful, and the honorable, manifest as these are in the Order of Nine Angles code of kindred honor, and in the balancing of the masculus and the mulibral. This is so dumb. Via the enetoderomia, that is the sevenfold way, and presenced as that balance is in the grade rituals of the... Fuck this whole thing. It's so stupid. Like, just say what you mean. I hate people who do this. It's so stupid. And it's manipulative. It's for a reason. They do it on purpose, and it's not impressive. It's just frustratingly annoying. If you actually wanted to say something and communicate it in order to achieve something, you would do it. You speak like you've never done acid. That's funny. Where are we here? Benjamin says, I've heard the Adam and Noah being referred to as Baphomet. Interesting. I have maybe heard that and forgotten, but I don't think I've heard that. Yeah, you can quote me on that. You can just start a cult and make shit up. Rogue Cult Reviews. Wow. Yeah, this is hilarious. It's stupid. I really want to know, though, again, more about culling. This is the most fascinating part, and they know it because they said people who aren't us, the mundane, will not like culling, and they'll argue against it, but they're wrong. Okay. Revealing, and to an extent creating, this type of personal character is one of the main aims of the O9A. Blah, blah, blah. Code of Kindred Honor, we already saw. Development of Errate. The genesis of a new breed. Again, this elitist neo-Nazi shit, it is very reminiscent of eugenics if it's not actual eugenics. Same shit we see by all the sort of controllers in the elite. Life goals. We already read that from a different document. See if there's anything else cool. Nope, that was it. The Labyrinthos Mythologicus of the O9A. You have to make up words and make them sound really cool in order to keep people interested, I think. Otherwise, they just like get bored and go play Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, this term in itself, Labyrinthos Mythologicus, is unique to the Order of Nine Angles and one of the many original things. I love how they can use all these like fantastic words, but then also use things in the same sentence that serve to distinguish the O9A from other occult groups or movements, be those groups or movements assigned to the left-hand path or described as Satanist or assigned or described to belong to whatever category or none. Like, you didn't need to say any of that then. You could just say other groups. Anyway, just that term makes them unique amongst all other groups. So that's a big deal and you should know it. Okay, so this is so stupid. So really what the Labyrinthos Mythologicus is their version of testing and selecting candidates. That's all it is. It's their really labyrinthine, like riddle-like way of saying that they're going to test people in order to make sure they're like, you know, cool with the cult and like ready to be not mundane man. And they can do this in a mischievous, japing, sly, and sometimes for mundanes, annoying part of a sinister dialectic. Oh, you. Yeah, so they can just screw with you and, you know, do whatever they want to you in order to test you because they're above you and you deserve to be tested. And if you are found wanting, you will be culled. Yeah. You really want to test them to see whether they rely on the internet or their own intuition. Awesome. I mean, I do. I hope people rely on their own intuition more than the internet, but it's just interesting. Like attracts like. It's basically saying, like, if they trust and rely on words presented on some impersonal medium, then they will see only words and probably get confused by such words. They're basically saying, like, if someone's already learned more than we present here and they try to, like, argue with us about the ideas and words that we present here, then they're just beyond help. They can't be they can't be convinced because they've already been taken down the wrong way or whatever. It's like a really clever way of getting rid of anyone who might understand things actually more clearly than you do. If someone doesn't reach those standards, they're simply not good enough. Clear as mud. Physical standards, grade rituals for them to undertake, the 3 basic ONA tasks. These are all things by which they will judge. And if you fail, you fail. No excuses. But you can try again until you succeed. Awesome. They're like, no, really, we need more people. So let's just say, actually, that anyone can join. The ONA is a shape-shifting Nexian. It might, to the mundane, seem like a confusing, dark, labyrinthine, satanic, non-satanic entity, and therefore does and does not exist, never has existed, and is or is not defunct, which is or is not Nazi. How clever! You can be anything at any time, depending on what you need from the person, or getting more members, or whatever. That's fantastic. They're just like, use the, like, Schrodinger's cat idea of metaphysics or whatever, or not of physics to, make anything cool with your group. Rad. Good job, guys. This is funny. This whole document is about leaving the Order of the Nine Angles. It just reminds me of, it's just saying that, like, yeah, some people leave, like, get over it. 'Cause I guess probably at some point some people left the group and it, like, became a big deal because they looked back and criticized the group, and they seriously wrote this entire document both to say that, like, just because you leave doesn't mean you have to make it a public personal opinion that you, like, publish and attack them. Just like we would, if you're in a group on Facebook and someone's like, I hate this group because you guys suck and I'm leaving now. Everyone's like, so just leave. Like, we didn't need to hear about it. So they're kind of saying that, but they're also, like, being little whiny brats and saying, like, don't criticize us after you leave. Some people just leave, and so just leave. Anyway, it's seriously so dramatic to read this whole thing. I just skimmed it, and it's all like middle school drama, like wrapped up in academic sounding, occult sounding bullshit. It's amazing. Oh, they do bring up the Picatrix. I've never heard of the Gayat al-Hakim. I might have actually. We were going to do an episode on grimoires, and we never got around to it. So actually, Mahadharmapala in the chat and I and another person were going to do this presentation on the grimoires, and we never got to it. So maybe one of them did bring it up way back then, but maybe we'll do that episode still. And if we do, it's not meant to glorify it or say anyone should do it. It's just meant to, like, understand that there are people who have entire grimoires full of demons and incantations and rituals that people can follow down to the letter to, perform summoning and magic. But this document basically goes into the parts of the Picatrix and this Gayat al-Hakim, which I'm guessing is like an Islamic sort of grimoire, and how they coincide with the Order of Nine Angles' ideas of astrology and whatever. So they basically have the 7 astral bodies that they use in their work. So they have Saturn, I think Iovis is Jupiter, Mars, the Sun, Venus, Mercury, and the Moon. And I think that's that original 7, which would be why they were in the Picatrix and the Gayat al-Hakim, because they were the original 7 bodies that were used in these types of things before we sort of saw further into the universe and got an idea of the other things out there. So they just show how both of them use those same 7 and even have similar symbols for those 7. And that is the system they use, and they like and they call it the septuagenarian, I think, or the septum figuras or something. And so whenever they're referring to their septa, whatever system, that's what they're talking about. It's just using those 7 heavenly bodies. And so this just goes into the differences between those documents and their way of looking at stuff. And was there something in this one that I wanted? Most of these I pulled up because there was something I found that was interesting within them. They do have a lot of connection with Hermeticism, which is also interesting. Again, they've got a lot of Gnosticism, so they talk about the monas or whatever, and the theos and blah, blah, blah. In the Order of the Nine Angles, you don't have to believe in the spheres as actual living beings or consciousnesses if you don't want to, because just like we saw, you're allowed to do or be or not do or be anything in the Order of the Nine, even though you also have to comply with their random ideas of whatever it means to be a sinister, because if you're not a sinister well enough, then you're going to be a mundane and then they can call you. And blah, blah, blah. It is funny that there are, like, pieces in here that are like, cool, yeah, I can agree with that or whatever. And then, like, a lot of it is just bullshit and shit that I could never agree with. There's this thing called the Raunwitha Way. And basically it's like the coolest part of this whole thing, as far as I can tell. Except the way they get to it is kind of interesting, but whatever. But oh, yeah, by the way, Jason Gay, it's his birthday. Happy birthday to you. Go Jason Gay. Jason Gay gave us our chicken coop, which I just put pictures of on Facebook, and he's an awesome friend, and I'm so glad that it's his birthday and that he made it around the sun one more time. Or whatever. Sorry, flat earthers. Whatever happens, I'm glad he did it again. Oh, Eerie Fairy word. I have nothing against using Greek. I just think it's funny that they couldn't also like tell us what the word was in English, since it's like a document of explanation. Like, I have no problem with Greek in and of itself, or using Greek letters or whatever. Like, that's cool. I'm not trying to be a snob. I'm sorry if I sound like a snob. I didn't mean to judge that. I'm like, this whole thing is all about like not actually being clear enough. Because if they were this is really what it comes down to. If they were too clear, too concise, too quickly, you'd realize that there's like not really anything here except people playing a hierarchy game with each other and like, feeling special because the world made them feel unspecial. And if you saw that too quickly, no one would ever join. So, that's really what it comes down to. I like this. Benjamin Crossland says, like leaders of a church say, if I'm not chosen by God, he would take me out. My view, that's what the devil would say. God just observes, in my view. I like that possible interpretation. Anyway, this Roundwitho way, or whatever, however you pronounce it, is kind of cool. It's, and they say it's the most neglected part of the order, probably because it makes the most sense. But anyway, it just talks about how it's a pagan esoteric tradition. It's indigenous to this particular area of the British Isles. And it's just about empathy. And it points out that most of these people who are empaths were women. And they say there are no teachings, no dogma, no rituals, no spells, no conjurations, no incantations, no abstract determinate seasons, and no unnatural divisions between us as mortals and nature and the heavens beyond. Like, that's cool. That is the coolest thing that they've said so far. We should stick with that and we're good. But it also says there's no goddess, no demons, no familiars. Instead, there's just a very individual and always wordless awareness, an intuitive apprehension arising from a natural gift or talent from the faculty of empathy that can be cultivated, according to tradition, by a person undertaking to live alone in the wilderness for around 6 months, and then some years later undertaking to live alone for a lunar month in a darkened cave or subterranean location. That's very, very specific. Right? You live outside alone for 6 months and then do it again for 1 month in a subterranean location. I totally practice something like this in the sense that I just like to go out into nature alone sometimes and put my feet in the dirt and just chill and have no agenda and just sit with nature. Some of my most profound moments of understanding and connection on a spiritual level come from those moments. Some of the most formative moments of my life, some of the most transformative moments of my life happen like that. And whenever someone is going through like a deep and powerful sort of strife or struggle or internal trouble, that's what I recommend. Like, go outside, get as far into nature as you can safely do, and as like detached from other humans around you. You don't want to go to like a crowded beach, perhaps, although you can if that's what you have available. But just as sort of like alone as you can be, and more remote the better. Again, as long as you do it safely, and literally like stick your feet and your hands directly into the dirt, or touch the trees, or whatever you need to do to like actually physically connect with that nature. And that is a powerful, powerful time. You might find that a lot of emotion comes out in those times, especially if you haven't stopped for a long time. If you've just been going like we're tend to do in this modern world, then it can be even more powerful. But anyway, it just sounds like that, right? Go sit in nature for a while. 6 months would be like a long time. I think that's what Thoreau did. No, I think he did even more. I don't know. In Walden. Maybe somebody can tell me in the chat if you remember. Yeah, good call, Benjamin. It's like a walkabout. Go out into nature and see what happens. But yeah, it's talking about how you get that acausal knowing, basically spiritual knowing. It arises from empathy with nature and the heavens. And then Mayat, of course, has to explain in this like very pithy way about it so that he can impress you with his leadership and whatever. I hate that they have this made up word, perseveration. This personal perseveration is the nameless, wordless unity beyond mortal abstract ideations. I think all you're saying is that you're understanding something from a spiritual level that you can't put into words. Blah, blah, blah. So it's a cool, interesting take on just like being in touch with nature and your own intuition. And I like that they have to like disconnect it from every other aspect of their practice and group because it's completely at odds with everything else they say. Just in that it's has no structure and no specific methodology or need to distinguish between who is like a mundane or not and blah blah blah. So fish is a really interesting like subculture within the Order of the Nine Angles. Here's a really creepy story. It's a weird full tale. I mean, like, even the art is creepy. Whatever, she just wants to hold her skull out on the plains and look morose. Leave her alone, right? One autumn evening, there was nothing outwardly suspicious about the house. It was apparently just a normal old 3-story English townhouse, which, like, you already know it's not and that weird shit's gonna happen. But again, a not very well written story, and it's meant to teach people in a more accessible way about their beliefs and, you know, traditions and whatever. And their rituals and blah, blah, blah. It's seriously just like, I guess you just can feel really cool when you're like, oh, wow, I finally have a group and I can like do rituals with them and stuff. I'm powerful. Or whatever. There's ciphers, mysteries to be solved, random words that don't make sense so that you have to like work at it. And little bits of their ideology interspersed within. So that's fun. And then this was hilarious too, because they also have a game, which you would totally do if you want, like, you know, idiots to stay engaged in your process. You would make them little games and stories to play with each other. No offense. Games are fun. I love games. My family, Brother Brant knows we play games all the time. I love games, but I just thought it was funny that they made their own game. It's really cute. It's really endearing. Maybe it's fun. Who knows? Maybe it's profound. Maybe it's rad. I don't know. But they have boards, pieces, and gameplay. I like that. Did it say it up here or was it later? Oh, here it is. Each occult initiate is expected to make their own boards and pieces as part of their occult training. That's another thing that any good cult will do is require you to create your own sort of like, I don't know, whether it's like the clothes you have to wear or your like bedding that you're going to use, or there's some aspect where you're going to, because it gets you invested, right? You've created this now and it's yours. And so you're like, you're more invested. You're more likely to stick around and stick it out. Having said that, it is actually cool if you're going to, like, I made my drum, you know, like make your own tools and stuff. I think that's rad when you can do that. It's just fun. And it also is more meaningful and, you know, infused with your energy or whatever. So I'm not opposed to creating your own things, but I just thought it was funny that you have to make a game. You have to make your own board. Of course, there's stars and spirals and 9 things and different numbers that are sacred to them. And of course, Sirius makes an appearance here, as well as other stars. I don't know why they have 7 boards and they don't use their 7 planets or heavenly bodies that they like, but whatever. They just wanted to go beyond their other stuff. So yeah, you can join their group and make a game. Oh, and here's where someone asked for a long time ago to get into their differences between the other Satanism and these guys' Satanism as they see it. So here we go. Weird is a witch thing. Yes, that WYRD version of weirding or whatever is a sort of witchy spelling. And I mean, it's one of those same things where I think it's just pedantic for no reason. Like, I think they just mean weird, but somebody was like, wouldn't it be cool if we spell it with a Y? And so they just did, and now it's like a thing. I could be wrong, and I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone, and I'm sorry if I'm ignorant. You're welcome to educate me. That's just my understanding. Oh. No cell phones. Yeah, do it. Daily walk in nature with no Wi-Fi. Woo! Yeah, see, Airy Fairy's doing it. Well, that's what we all really need, that more and more. Get out in nature whenever possible. Oh, that's rad. Burning Mile points out, esoteric words aren't always a manipulative device used by cults. After all, I learned the word entitativity from Rogue Ways. Thank you for pointing that out. You're right. There are just cool words that are not well known that can also be informative and fun to use. Here's my main rule, though. If you are talking to people who you can be generally sure won't necessarily know that word, then define it for them or use a similar word that is simpler. That's George Orwell's advice, too, in The Politics of the English Language. But always do what you want to, right? Use the words you like. If it makes you feel happy. All right, 2 types of Satanism. The modern American type, manufactured and propagated by Howard Stanton LaVey, better known under his aliases of Anton LaVey and Anton Szandor LaVey. I didn't know that his real name was Howard Stanton LaVey, so I learned that today. And the traditional Satanism and its manifest in the occult philosophy and the praxis of the Order of the Nine Angles. I was taught in my master's program that praxis is just a pedantic word used to manipulate people and that it is pointless and it just means practice. But whatever. If they want to use praxis, they can. So LaVey's Satanism is based on the premise that Satan is a symbol of the carnal, the selfish, the egoistic, the nature of human beings, with Satanism understood as manifesting the raison d'etre of might is right. So lawlessness, basically, and whoever can, should. Of lex talionis, I don't know what that means, and of the individualistic ideas expressed in Ayn Rand's objectivism. It's interesting that Ayn Rand's objectivism gets thrown into that. She's, as far as I know, not Satanist, and she's just all for self-responsibility, but let's find out what this phrase means. Lex talionis, an eye for an eye. Got it. So, the eye for an eye is cool in that modern Satanism of LaVey. This type of Satanism promotes the total satisfaction of the ego and obeying the law of the land. So they are for law and order, as well as total satisfaction of the ego in a very selfish way. On the other hand, the Satanism of Anton Long, I don't know why they're both Antons with L's, like that wasn't confusing enough for us all, but anyway... The traditional Satanism of Anton Long is based on the scholarly premise. Oh yes, we've seen how scholarly you are, Anton. That, as described in this random text that they also wrote themselves, Hasatan, the Satan, refers in the Septuagint, which is a non-traditional canon of the sort of Judeo-Christian texts, as far as I'm remembering, to the chief adversary, the so-called chosen ones, and to the chief schemer against those who regard themselves as the chosen people of God or Jehovah. And a Satan, historically in the Septuagint, let's just find out what the Septuagint is. Let's see if I was right or wrong. The Septuagint version... The Greek Old Testament, or Septuagint, is the earliest extant Koine Greek translation of books from the Hebrew Bible. Oh, so it's just the original Bible. So I was wrong. It is the canonical and not the extra canonical books. Oops. Referring to someone as an adversary of, and who thus is pejoratively regarded by those so opposed as scheming, plotting against those who regard themselves as the chosen people of God or Jehovah. So basically they're saying a Satan or a Satan is anyone who is opposed or on the opposite side of those who have claimed themselves as the chosen people of God, Jehovah. Thus, for the Order of Nine Angles, a Satanist is someone who is heretically opposed to those who believe they are the chosen people of God. Blah, blah, blah. So they're just saying, they're saying they are Satan, because they are opposed to those people, because they are anti-Jewish and anti-chosen ones and anti-Jehovah, which I've not seen spelled out very clearly here, but is allegedly true. The contrast between Satanism manufactured and propagated by Howard Stanton LaVey and the Satanism developed and expounded by Anton Long is perhaps best illustrated by comparing their respective lives. Ugh, we're not doing that. Anyway, that's the basic contrast between them. They say LaVey was a showman, a dilettante, a plagiarist, a charlatan, and a mundane. He's a fake, basically. But Anton Long, however, is the best. He's amazing. He's a martial arts expert, a scholar, an intellectual, and a modern syncretist of radical ideology. What a saint. Oh, wait, no. Whatever an anti-saint is. Oh, he went on extended stays in the Middle East, so he's amazing, especially in East Asia. Blah, blah, blah. A Siddhartha-like search for truth. You probably wrote this too, like, way to pat yourself on the back, buddy. A Siddhartha-like search for truth, by God. He's a modern-day mage. It just goes on and on how great he is. Okay, so that's the difference, is that one is like a fake and one's not, and one regards itself as Satan while the other sees Satan as a symbol. That's not... Okay. This is like every other thing that they divide themselves for no purpose. This was interesting just because it popped up when I searched for the Order of the Nine Angles. Of course, the 9 angels also came up. So I guess there's 9 choirs of angels, which I didn't know. And so I think that that's very interesting. Like a lot of... Oh, I just want to see the symbol again. Oh, it's not going to be here. Oh, there. Right, a lot of these symbols, orders, like occult, sort of satanic, Luciferian, all these things are all about inversion of something that is, Christian or upright or traditional or canonical or whatever, however you want to describe that, ordered or, all these different things, the left-hand path, the right-hand path, like they're always opposed, and the left-hand path tends to often be like a subversion or an inversion of something on the right-hand path. And so the 9 choirs of angels is probably why they chose the Order of the 9 Angles. Perhaps, I could be wrong, but it's interesting. So the 9 choirs of angels in traditional Judeo-Christian tradition, I think I said that right, include the seraphim, the highest order. They're the attendants or guardians before the God's throne. There's the cherubim. They're the rank below the seraphim, the second highest. There's no evidence that the Jews considered them as helpers of God. They were closely linked in God's glory, though. They are man-like in appearance and double-winged. So I guess these are the ones that we sort of see represented around if they've got wings. They're guardians of God's glory. They symbolize God's mobility. There's the thrones, which are a type of angels. They're angels of pure humility, peace, and submission. They reside in the area of the cosmos where material form begins to take shape. That's interesting. So they're like the closest to us, perhaps. There's the dominions, the angels of leadership, regulate the duties of the angels. They make known the commandments of God. There's the virtues. They're the spirits of motion. They control the elements. Earth, air, water, fire, spirit, perhaps. They're referred to as the shining ones. Oh, those are the ones that we hear of a lot in interactions, I think, in biblical nature or in biblical context. They govern all of nature. Oh, so I just read the book of Enoch. Oh God, I have the worst memory. I think, and they talked about this a lot. They have control over the seasons, stars, moons, sun. All of those things are subject to their command. Oh, they're also in charge of miracles and provide courage, grace, and valor. So these are the ones I think that if humans are interacting with angels, they would be interacting with these ones more so. Perhaps. There's the powers. They're the warrior angels against evil, defending the cosmos and humans. They fight evil spirits. The chief is Samael or Camael, both angels of darkness. Man. So they both fell. They both left. What's that called? They abandoned their posts and went to the dark side. There's archangels, chief or leading angels, most frequently mentioned in the Bible. Saint Michael the Archangel is probably what most people are familiar with. I don't know how he can be a princely seraph, but also an archangel. Wasn't seraph? Oh, it's not a seraphim. Well, seraphim is just a singular version of seraph, right? Whatever. A unique role as God's messengers to the people at critical times in history and salvation. Oh, we have Michael, Gabriel, Raphael. There's a couple more I was reading in Enoch. I don't remember their names, though. Blah, blah, blah. There's some examples of when they interacted with people. There's principalities. In the New Testament, principalities refers to a type of spiritual being which are now quite hostile to God and human beings. And it's interesting, too. They were created through Christ and for him. But given their hostility to God and humans due to sin, Christ's ultimate rule over them expresses the reign of the Lord over all in the cosmos. Okay. I mean, I don't know if they're like demons now or fallen angels or what they are. That was not very clear to me. And then we have just angels. These angels are closest to the material world and human beings. Okay. Human begins. They deliver the prayers to God, and God's answers and other messages to humans. They have capacity to access any and all other angels at any time. There are middlemen. Thanks, angels. They are the most caring and social to assist those who ask for help. So that was just interesting side note that the 9 choirs of angels exist, and that it was interesting to wonder if they're subverting or inverting that sort of concept or, energy into the order of the 9 angles. Who knows? This is another general page I found about the Order of the 9 Angels, and most of what's above this point was already covered, but I thought it was interesting that they lay out specifically the 7-fold way, which is just their hierarchy that they have. So when you first enter, of course, you're a neophyte. Then you can become an initiate through hard enough work and enough memorizing of the dogma. Then you're an external adept, an internal adept, a master or a mistress, then a grand master or a musa, because you got to start making up words, and then you're immortal. So this is a path to immortality. I'm sure they don't even pretend that they actually have access to immortality, but that's just the top tier that you can get. And I'm always like, so what's to stop someone if you can be an unassociated, random roaming individual who claims Order of the 9 Angles and isn't in one of their little fucking Nexions or whatever, like we saw earlier, then what's to stop you from just saying you are immortal? Like whatever. I don't know. Maybe there's special tattoos and signs and like other secret societies. But of course they use the inverse pentagram because why not? This was the part where I learned that they are especially militant and promote, militarizing and being ready for the culling of society in a National Socialist revolution. There may have been more. This was very interesting here, and I want to send it to Benjamin Balderson because this is very similar to his tree of life that he sort of pulled from the ether and translated into human terms, and so it was weird to see it reflected here in this pretty different way. But it's like a replacement for the traditional tree of life that we see in Judaism. So that was interesting to see. They also have this tree of weird, which is not like the tree of life, but is also like the tree of life. And this is just their understanding of those 7 heavenly bodies and how they sort of interact and relate to each other. And that's part of how they work their magic. They've got their dark gods, of course, whose sigils come from those various grimoires that we saw. And this part I wanted to show you guys because it's the meaning of their actual name, the 9 Angles. One of the mysteries of the order has been its very name. Frequently, aspiring associates ask to what does the 9 Angles refer. The Order of the 9 Angles offers several answers to this question through various texts and essays because it's totally okay to contradict yourself and to be either something or not something at any given time, so why not? On the one hand, the 9 angles are said to refer to the 7 planets individually as 7 angles, in addition to the entire system as a whole as the 8th angle, and with the mystic, their individual as the 9th angle. So there's one interpretation. Clearly, the term angle can be understood figuratively. Another possibility is that the term refers to 7 normal alchemical stages, plus 2 additional processes that involve esoteric time. They're just making shit up at this point again. A further possibility suggested by the Order of the 9 Angles text is that it refers to 9 emanations of the divine as recorded in medieval Sufi texts. It is equally likely that the order has borrowed from classical Indian tradition that arranges the solar system into 9 planets and the world itself has 9 corners, or perhaps from the Sanskrit Srivatsa, a special mark with 9 angles that indicates supernatural heroic characteristics. Probably all of those, because it sounds like they were well versed in very many traditions and they are pulling from all of them to make their sort of unique club or whatever. So I'm going to go with the latter, the Sanskrit, as the main inspiration or initially. I love this. The Order of Nine Angles has produced literally thousands of pages of fiction theory and practical guides for its initiates. It's like that stuff we were looking at. They have like a ton of fan fiction. And I think you could just like write up a thing, and if you sounded pedantic and occult and esoteric enough, you could just say that this was a genuine document for the Order of the Nine Angles. But what do I know? Here's a version of their little game that you can play. Pretty neat. So their main goals we already kind of went into. They want to bring about a new aeon, which includes, getting rid of the Jewish people and bringing in National Socialism. It's neo-Nazism. The return of the Dark Gods is one of their goals, and to, of course, overtake other rival sects and traditions and get more members. So those were some interesting additions. And then this is just a random thing I wanted to throw in for whoever's still with me and watching. This was a completely, totally random site that somebody showed me a long time ago. And I looked at it and thought, wow, people are this messed up in this world. And so this is a totally different cult. It has nothing to do with Order of the Nine Angles, but I just wanted to throw it out there just to show you how many various dark occult cults there are. This is the Primal Witchcraft of Hecate. And this talks about the various temples that they're building in various places on the planet in order to awaken ancient energies that have been trapped. So we can imagine it is sort of like the angels and the fallen who have been, imprisoned in the abyss, and that they do sacrifices and various magical rituals in order to awaken what they call the dragon on the earth once again. And the last time I looked at this was maybe 2 years ago. And I don't know where they're at now, but at that point they had one temple left to awaken, supposedly. This could just be fan fiction as well. Who knows? They sell shit, so it could just be to get money and to garner intrigue and attention, whatever. But they claim to have, found like the Garden of Eden and subverted that and made a temple to Belial, however you say that. But they do say souls who pass through this gate they've created go through Hecate's, I hope I'm saying that right, pillar of fire, and they will be ensorcelled within the Queen of Hell's witch flame. So I guess you get possessed when you go through there. That sounds bad. I don't want to do it myself. You can look at updates for each of these temples. The Temple of the Perfect Red King. It's just interesting. I don't know how much Stephen King you guys have read, but in the Dark Tower series, there's the Crimson King, and there's various pop culture and references to this Red King, which I guess is Lucifer or Satan. I don't know. It's interesting, though, that this is like repeated through various pop culture. And I think, yeah, this is the one. This is the temple that isn't done yet. It's on private land, 300 acres of Texan wilderness. My sequel to Sign Curve of the Eons ends in the Texan wilderness, just by chance. So we could never find it, I guess. They do have standing stones there. They have the blood red crystal heart of Lucifer there. Yeah, it's... Anyway, it says, once opened by a soul, chosen by both gods and gatekeeper of the Mother Temple, the respective pillars of fire become autonomous in their service of Hecate's Mother Temple. A soul is but a willing key, an object or being with which the timeless lock of a pillar of fire, its gateway forever existing upon the inner planes, is manifested in the realm of man. Mortals die, move, or otherwise depart. Pillars of fire forever stand as gateways in service of the mother vortex and its supreme dark goddess. So whatever this group is doing, they're waiting for their final soul chosen by gods to, who knows what, probably be sacrificed in order to open this portal or gateway and complete their multi-tiered temple fucking shit on Earth. I don't know. When I looked through this at first and when I look through it now, I feel like these people are deadly serious and they're actually doing this and they think that it's doing something, and I hope it's not. But again, it's very strange to me that my book ends in the wilderness of Texas and the main goal, well, I don't want to give it away. You're just going to have to read it and find out. But it's scary to me that my book kind of coincides with this. Good news is, in my book, they don't win. So anyway. Oh, that's where I'm already at. So I don't want to scare the crap out of everyone, but I also just wanted to draw your attention to this in case you have insight or want to share something with me about it that you see that I don't see, because it's just a weird synchronicity in my life that keeps popping up. And the whole time I was looking at the Order of the Nine Angles, I was thinking that this is I said, a Dungeons and Dragons sort of group gone mad or whatever, full of fan fiction and whatever. But at the same time, like we had said about the CIA possibly infiltrating and using it for its various purposes to bring about National Socialism, perhaps other entities and or forces could also easily use this very accessible garnering of willing ambition and, commitment to the sort of dark arts to, get their own participants for various other things. So I just think it could be a scouting grounds for whoever to be involved in things like this. And, I guess that's really why I wanted to draw your attention to the fact that I think that the Order of the Nine Angles seems pretty lame, honestly. But that other primal, whatever it's called, let me grab that link actually in case anybody's interested to go look deeper into it. That one felt a bit more sort of nefarious and real and actually garnering actual demonic influences perhaps. And so, like I said, while the Order of the Nine Angles seems almost just pointless and like a Dungeons and Dragons game gone too far, there are real people out there that are actually doing human sacrifice and satanic worship and other horrible things, and they're getting their people somewhere. So these types of organizations could easily be one various portals into those sort of darker levels. So that's what worries me about it more than anything. And then again, back to that kid who was obviously influenced somehow by this group, which I don't know how you would find this group or be influenced unless you have adults in your life who are part of it. And so it's sad that, kids can get caught up in this too, because like we said, they're looking for belonging, they're looking for the satisfaction of needs that have never been met, and this random horrifying group is going to provide that for them. It gives them a convenient, easily identified target with which to rage against, and it's just too convenient with our psychology, given our psychology that works well. I love that my boyfriend just played a game called Trick These Bitch-Ass Chickens Into Their Coop by coercing them with grapes. That's awesome. Good call. They are grapes are crack to them. They go insane. They'll be just kind of hanging out lazy or whatever, and you can throw other food they like at them and they're like, oh, okay, and they'll walk over and peck at it. But if they see grapes, they run to it and they jump on each other and fight to the death for the grapes. It's amazing. So there's a little levity to balance out the darkness of this episode. But yes, let's see. I'm not sure what you're saying about the Emerald Tablets, Benjamin, but I support your right to say it. The seven rays are referenced in Gnostic texts as well. I think there's more than 7 though. I think there's 12. I don't know. Arcs of light. Angels of light, archangels. Good point, Ian. And hi, Ian. Yes. All right. So I guess I'll wrap it up there. And what I want to leave you with is to remember this. Again, you can become a dungeon master and write your own adventures and create all your own lore and assign roles to people and then make that into like a real life cult. And that's not really like that compelling. It's like, okay, you did that and it sounds neat. You got a lot of attention for it and that's your thing in life, whatever. But if you take that beyond that to where you're actually culling people or, you know, causing violent insurrection to like undermine society in various ways, when you're influencing children to do harmful acts, if any of that is real, that's obviously when you're like sort of stepping over the line of your right to practice what you wish and believe what you wish. And when you instead, or let's say also when you go even further beyond that and you're creating like portals to hell and like inviting demons onto earth, then you've really gone too far and hopefully you will be stopped. But on the other hand, when you're just sort of actually practicing self-improvement in various means and you're looking to various traditions to do that and you're finding things that make you more connected to yourself or to nature or to your conception of God, you know, and love and light, and you're doing this in order to better yourself and you know, serve humanity as the ultimate goal, you know, create a better society through, you know, actually, you know, connecting with your communities and creating systems and, you know, things of value, then that's a beautiful thing. And it doesn't really matter so much to me where you find the sort of wisdom and teachings that help you achieve those things, as long as you are always sort of doing it in those modalities of like, you know, self-improvement and service to your community, without, you know, subverting the intended goals of society necessarily, right? It gets really tricky, but I just that's my main takeaway, is that I don't necessarily want to judge people of any various religion. I think when you get cult-like, it gets dangerous. But if you're just practicing something that, helps make you feel better about life and living and more connected with your spirituality, then I think that can be a very good thing. And you know me, I'm always a fan of doing that on the side of goodness, truth, and beauty. So as you aim to establish ever deeper levels of your own wisdom and truth and beauty for yourself and for the greater good, travel well, aim for balance, and always look inside first. Mwah. Bye, Brother Brant.
Nasty motherfuckers with a hook and a sickle. Brought to you advertisement, bone plated nickel. Fire rate automatic smash from the get-go. Snack on the whack fermented flesh disco. Abracadabra, archaic altars don't slabber. Hey, making jabbers with reality backwards. Hunting rap nerds, bodyguard collected actors. Munitions are famished, let them feast upon the dapper. Bloody bibs and muddy kicks, feasting on amygdala. Iron fist, tyrant shit, APO will rip you up. The rhyme rainmaker, vein style backbreaker. Genghis Khan depleted uranium satellite lasers. Cloaked in anonymity, I know you never heard of me. No rusted tools used for Crowley style surgery.
Dissect a whole set, God body. God taught me to dissect the whole body. When it gets sloppy, I'ma get there. Rhymes rare like steak, get crushed like Christ to create 52 states. And it's Baghdad, dust to towels, no rags. Straight milk dash, dust to ash. Turbans while the niggas perkin'. It's on purpose, my service touches the sun's surface. And rainbows touch serpents. My light all night shines so bright. I'm a star for eons, Hollywood's for peons. Cause they try to copy the same shit we on. Hey, I ain't done yet. Lungs depleted and can't breathe, can't believe it. Trying to seek it while trying to peep it. It's a secret. Now you're nobody. Label somebody. Trying to claim John Gotti. It's yours truly, God body.